Awesome. All right. Well, thank you for having a chat with me today. Maybe we could start
I
off
am
with,
happy to have a chat with you.
great. Maybe you could start off by telling me your name and where you're at.
Yeah, hi. So I'm Rupakshi and I'm from Mumbai, India.
Great, great.
Yeah.
And did you grow up in Mumbai? Is that your hometown, or did you move there?
Yeah, so actually my parents and my grandparents are from Rajasthan. But after getting married, my parents shifted to Mumbai and I'm born and brought up in Mumbai, except for the 3 years that I spent in Mauritius.
Okay,
So for like 3.5 years, I was in Mauritius, but apart from that, I'm born and brought up in Mumbai. Yeah.
got it. How far away is that town you grew up in from Mumbai?
I grew up in Mumbai itself.
Okay. Oh, I thought you had said
Mauritius,
your parents.
Mauritius.
Okay,
My parents are from another state, which is Rajasthan. It's quite far actually. It's not that close at all. It's
okay,
around, I would say, at least 800 kilometers from
okay.
here. Yeah.
Quite a distance.
Yeah, quite a distance. Like by flight, it takes around 1.5 hours from Mumbai.
Got it. So when
Yeah.
I think of Mumbai as someone who hasn't been to India, I think of huge city, big skyscrapers. Like, is it the biggest city in India?
I think you are very mistaken actually. Mumbai is very congested. Like there's a lot of population here. We are 1.2 crore people, which is a lot. But it's not that big a city, honestly.
Oh wow!
But
I'm glad.
we have a lot of traffic, and also traveling is a little bit of a pain. And generally, like I've seen US roads, they're quite empty. So
Yeah,
those who come from abroad, they need some time to sort of adjust to the hustle and bustle of the city.
got it, got it. What is the largest city in India,
Oh, I'm not
or
sure
one of the
actually.
biggest?
Udaipur could be one, Bangalore could be
Bangladesh.
one.
Yeah.
Bangladesh is another country.
Oh, Oh, yes,
Uh,
yes, yes. I'm thinking. I was
Bangalore.
thinking Hyderabad. Is that?
Hyderabad also could be, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Wait.
Okay, I'm getting a history lesson. This is good. A
Yeah.
geographic lesson, I should say. No, that's good. Yeah, I don't know why I was thinking Bangladesh. I know that's another country. I was thinking, I've worked with some people who are based in Hyderabad. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but that's a pretty big one, I think, right?
Actually, Mumbai is also quite a large city. I just checked. Mumbai is the largest Indian city, actually.
So I was right. Okay.
You were right. I'm so sorry.
I thought
It
I knew
actually
this.
doesn't feel that large because it's so congested, and it's actually honestly a little bit of a pain to travel in Mumbai. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
that's what I
uh,
thought. Okay. That
but
makes,
people do say this that once you have settled in Mumbai, you find it really difficult to go and settle somewhere else because Mumbai is like a very quick city, and
yeah.
people don't really care much about how you're looking, what you're wearing. They just mind their own business.
Yeah.
But apart from that, it's like a good life to get used to.
Yeah. Hmm. So do you live in like a house, or do you live in like a high skyscraper tall building?
I so my dad actually works in MTNL, so we stay in a house only. So it basically quarters provided by the company.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
I'm guessing a lot of people live in high-rise buildings, right?
yeah, they do. There are a lot of high-rise buildings in Mumbai. Like that's the like bungalows or like having duplex sort of houses. It's very rare in Mumbai. Like only the rich, super rich can afford it.
I got it, got it.
Yeah,
Um, so if I could ask, how old are you?
I am 25.
25. Okay. Are you done with school and working now, or like are you where are you?
Yeah. So basically, I just got done with my MBA in March, and now this entire COVID-19 situation, coronavirus situation, lockdown has happened. So I am not able to join work yet, but hopefully by June end or July end, I should start working.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you about that. Like, how is this COVID situation impacting India and specifically Mumbai where you're at? Has everything been locked down? Like, are people able to go about? Like, tell me a little bit about how it's impacted Mumbai.
Yeah, so um, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Mumbai has the largest number of cases in India. So almost one fifth or one sixth of the cases are in Mumbai itself. The one of the major reasons for that is population. So we have like a lot of people staying very close by together, so it becomes very difficult to actually maintain social distancing. So unlike in US where people generally live in individual houses, here it's more of society culture wherein like there is a bunch of flats in one compound sort of. So I think population is like a very big factor when it comes to Mumbai having the largest number of cases. So thankfully, the area that I stay in does not have as many cases, but in the let's call it mid Mumbai and the suburban region, there are quite a few cases. Yeah.
Are the
So
is the government requiring people to wear masks?
yeah, so you cannot, there are a couple of rules. So in some areas, they have started that grocery will be available only till 11 o'clock. Some of the societies, what they've done is they get the vegetable grocer to the gate of their building, and then people just form a queue and then they buy everything that they need up until 11 o'clock and then they go back. So there are some online deliveries that have started now, but it's only strictly for essential items like daily groceries or some hygiene stuff you need, medicines. So
Yeah.
we have some deliveries, e-commerce deliveries on for that. And apart from that, people have obviously stopped going to work. They are working from home. My dad works in the essential services sector, so he has to go to office, but then he has to also maintain all precautions. Like he does not unnecessarily call people unless necessary, or like he wears mask if the entire time that he's in office, and he's mandated that all employees do the same. Apart from that, like even in my area, when you go to grocery stores or to buy your daily essential items, you have to stand like 1 meter apart, and they have started a token system in some of the supermarkets. So yeah,
Hmm.
they're dealing with it.
So it sounds like the essential needs like medicine and groceries and things like that are open, but I'm guessing businesses like restaurants and other things like I don't know, maybe places to get your hair cut. Those things are completely closed, or are those open with a mask?
So some restaurants are open like Zomato, and so we have these couple of food delivery apps. So they are still working. Like they have also adapted. Sort of, they tell us that which are the restaurants which are following 100% of the hygiene rules and so on. Even their delivery boys are, like it's made sure that even the delivery boys follow the hygiene rule and so on. So that is being taken care of. So because of that, some restaurants are open, but no one is allowed to go out and eat per se.
Got it. Got it. It's similar here in the US. Um,
Yeah.
in Seattle, where I'm at, like restaurants mostly closed and pretty much grocery stores and anything medical related and pharmacies, that is all open, but it's starting to slowly open up. Like they opened up parks recently, and like you can go on hikes outside. Before that was closed. That just opened up, I
Oh,
think, a few days ago. So it's slowly starting to open up, but most things are still closed. So seems
oh,
similar.
okay.
And you see a lot of
And
people.
are your supermarkets like adequately stocked up? And like,
Yeah,
how is the situation cases wise over there?
they have been at least the grocery stores in there's sometimes maybe something in particular you wanted, like a certain brand of something might be out, so then you have to get a different kind of brand of, I don't know, um, like I can't even think of a great example, but like maybe it's orange juice you're getting, and then you usually buy
Okay.
one brand and they're sold out of that, so you have to get another brand. But mostly the grocery stores, like you're not going there and finding empty shelves. Uh, you're finding food and mostly the things that you're looking for, just not necessarily everything. So is um, are grocery store shelves stocked in where
Okay.
you're at as well?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's
But
good.
that hasn't been a problem as such.
Yeah, and there's a few grocery delivery services that I've used. Amazon. I don't know how big Amazon is in India.
Pretty
Uh,
big, yeah.
yeah, Amazon is based in Seattle, so they
Yeah.
have a couple grocery. They deliver for a grocery store that they own, and then they have their own kind of grocery store delivery service. So we will buy groceries through them as well because it's simple and they provide the delivery.
Amazon Fresh, right? Is it called
Yeah,
that
Amazon
over there
Fresh.
as yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Amazon Fresh.
That's working in India as well.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that makes it super easy. I wasn't sure how big of a presence Amazon has in India, but
No, I think it's pretty big in India.
who is their big competitor? Is it something called Flipkart?
Yeah, Flipkart is their biggest competitor. So it's like forever these two are neck to neck. So if some Amazon does something, then Flipkart will do it. If Flipkart does something, then Amazon will try to do it.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's pretty much these two that have garnered, and then we have some separate e-commerce websites for specifically for clothing, beauty, makeup, and so on.
Yeah. Would you say when you want to buy something like, I don't even know, like anything, would you be more likely to go to Flipkart or Amazon, or do you check both? Like what do most Indians, would you say, friends of yours?
So I know people who are both uh, pro, like 100%. We only trust Amazon, and I know people who are like, okay, no, we only trust Flipkart. I personally tend to prefer Amazon a little bit more over Flipkart, but it's not that I've not bought stuff from Flipkart.
Do they sell the same, like do they have the same amount of supply? Like you can pretty much buy anything on Amazon. Is it the same with Flipkart where they have all kinds of things?
Yeah, pretty much like they, apart from, I would say all the extra book services and the gadget services that Amazon has. Apart from that, Flipkart has all the categories. Like they have electronics, they have clothing, they have like not groceries, but like daily supplies that you need. Like they've
Yeah,
started it very
toothpaste or something
recently.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, they started very recently, but yeah, they do have all of that.
Okay.
So.
Interesting. So, um, what are popular apps in, like, you're 25, you're fairly young. I'm 38. What are popular apps with your friend group? Is it here in the US, like Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, are some of the big popular ones? Like, are those similarly popular in India, or are there others?
Yeah, so India is basically a very diverse country, I would say. So, in the urban population, about 35% of India is urban, rest 65 is still rural in India. And when I say rural, it's like proper, villages, and like there are still some areas where technology is really not that big, and so on. Like very few areas now, but there still are some of these areas. So when you talk about the urban areas, we have YouTube is famous. We have some very famous YouTubers from India. Then there's Instagram, like you said, Twitter. A lot of Indians very active on Twitter. Then obviously TikTok has been quite a rage now. Snapchat as well. And when you talk about rural India, so somehow there is still a little bit of penetration from Instagram and Facebook. Like Facebook is really big. I think, like from personally what I've seen, Facebook is kind of big, but TikTok is catching up too somehow. Like
Hmm.
there are a lot of these videos that you'll see in which there are people from villages who are trying to make videos and like just use them.
What would you say? What is the one app you think you use the most?
I am not on TikTok. I am not on Twitter either. So YouTube and I would say Instagram. Yeah,
Okay.
I am pretty active on Instagram.
Mm. What about payment? Like, you have services like PayPal, and there's Venmo and Cash App. I don't know if you've heard of those, but is there
Yeah,
like an app that makes it easy, if you're gonna like pay a friend money, or even if you're gonna buy something from someone? Is it like, how
yeah.
big is digital payments?
So I am not sure how aware you are, but some years ago, India underwent demonetization, wherein basically two currency notes were forced out of circulation. A 500 rupee note, so the Indian currency is INR, which is Indian rupees. So a 500 rupee note and a 1000 rupee note were, made to go out of circulation
Phased out, yeah.
completely. Yeah, so because of that, and there was a lot of disruption basically. Like people did not ATMs did not have a lot of cash, and yeah, like people did not have enough cash to pay the grocers with, because the ATMs did not have enough cash. So there was like for a very small amount of time there was a little bit of problem. So during that time, digital payments really caught up in India. So we do have PayPal here in India as well. We don't have Venmo and Cash App, but the more popular ones are, there's this one which was started by the government of India, which is known as Bheem UPI. That is basically based on the UPI system only. Similarly, we have Google Pay. I think even US has it. Google
Yeah,
Pay.
Google Pay. We have
Yeah,
Google Pay. It's not, yeah. They're probably big. I don't think of them, but of course Google is doing all kinds of things, so it's not surprising
yeah.
that Google Pay, and like
True.
Amazon has their own payment thing, I think, as well.
Yeah, Amazon wallet and all those things are like small. So majorly there are two that you would find, like even the smallest shops have. One is Google Pay and other is this Paytm slash Beam UPI basically.
So if you were to go to the market, like a street market, I'm guessing those exist in Mumbai,
Yeah, yeah,
and
quite a
you were
lot
going to
of them.
buy some fresh vegetables, for example, is the transaction done in cash, or is it done digitally?
So generally, I don't think this exists in US, but basically in India, what happens is we have this concept of mandi, which is basically this one area of land in which you'll just find people that are selling vegetables and fruits. Like they get fresh ones in early morning, and then like around, let's say, 10 o'clock, they just sit next to each other in like one long row, or like three, four rows, and you just keep going from one seller to the next seller to the next seller to the next seller to buy whatever you want. So in such a setup, it's normally cash. So until and unless it's a slightly a bigger shop, like let's say it's a general store, or like a medicine store or something of that sort, it, or like a roadside stall that is giving you foods and all, because those are also very popular in India. So I think in US you all have food trucks, right? More predominantly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Say that
so
again.
we
I didn't. That last part you cut out. You said you
yeah,
have
I was
something in the
saying
U.S.
that in US you predominantly have food trucks, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so here, while we do have some food trucks, more common are the food stalls, I would say, that are found like at every intersection or every corner of every road. So basically you just go down from your building and you take a right or a left, and you'll have like stall by stall of food that you can potentially.
Got it.
So at such stalls you would probably find like people not paying in cash but people paying online, using Paytm or Google Pay, whatever. But like properly, if you're going to mandis and all to buy vegetables, it's not that heard of. Especially when you go to like tier two or tier three towns, it's not that well heard of.
So the lineup of people that are selling fruits and vegetables that you talked about, is the primary digital way to exchange money, the government created option. What was the name of that again?
I'll just type it and send it to you.
Okay. Is that what a lot of, oh, okay. That's what, so if you had an account with that and I had an account, I could easily send you money, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that is created and run by the government.
Yeah, this one is by the government, but Paytm and Google Pay are not. Yeah.
Okay, so this is used a lot, but then PayPal is used a lot as well.
PayPal is okay, like it's not that big. I would say Paytm, Beam, and Google Pay are three of the
Okay,
biggest.
Paytm, Pay
Yeah, I
Paytm.
yeah,
Okay, okay. So
yeah,
Paytm, the government one, and then Google Pay would be the three largest.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
With Paytm, do you have to give them a credit card, or how,
No,
like,
no,
or you just
nothing
have
of
a
that sort.
you just have a username and then it sends it to them or something like that? Like, what does the experience look like?
Paytm is basically either you can use your phone number directly, or there is a QR code that you can scan and send it to
Okay.
that QR code.
So very quick,
And
very, very fast to do.
yeah, yeah, very quick, very quick.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. You know, I think that digital payments, while big, just going to continue to grow. And it's interesting to hear how India is using digital payments because everyone is using it on a different level. And I'm sure, like you said, it's used more in urban areas than more rural areas, but it feels like
Yeah,
it's just cash will be used less and less everywhere. It's just a matter of time.
that is true actually. So even in rural areas, post demonetization, there has been an increase in digital transactions,
Hmm,
basically. So that
interesting.
has happened. Yeah,
Interesting. Um, so you live in Mumbai, which is urban and probably more cutting edge on a lot of things. People that I've
yeah,
known in the past, a couple women from India that I had gone to school with in college, they like the common thing, and at least their situation was arranged marriages. And I know that this is still a thing in India, but less so I
yeah. It
think in
is.
urban areas. I'm wondering, like, is this something that is like very traditional, and like, do you expect your dad to introduce you, like, tell me a little about that, because I think that's a concept that is not well understood in the US, so I'm wondering, like where that stands.
Yeah. So as of now, I would say that we've come a long way, but we are nowhere close to like having uh, lesser arranged marriage than love marriages. So arranged marriage, basically what happens is the family finds, let's say, if we are looking for you, for example, so your parents will find a girl, like they'll give you a lot of options, obviously, and there is this thing that we make which is known as the bio data, which sort of is our profile, you can say, in a way. So on that, you write down your name, your date of birth, when were you born, where are you from, where are you working, what are your qualifications, what is your family background like. You write things like that, and there's a nice little photo on top of it, and that is circulated. So basically, your parents will go through, like they'll have their own set of filtering criteria. They'll go through a bunch of biodata. Some of them will come to you, and then you'll go through them. You'll maybe pick a girl that you like, and then you'll talk to each other, try to figure things out, and if both of you are happy with it and you both of you agree to go ahead with it, then that is when the actual preparation for marriage and everything begins.
Is that a specific website that has all the bio data?
No, so India thrives a lot on social interaction. So you'll find these small pockets of people, and in India, getting people married in the same caste is still a big thing. So it matters to them, and it matters to the society in general, that whether or not you married into the same caste.
Hmm.
So there are more and more cases of people not following this, and more and more people are becoming liberal, but people generally try that you get married in the same caste. So what happens is so there are some websites which have like you register on them and you upload your biodata and you can check it out over there. So there are some websites which do that, but mostly it is all hearsay. Like, let's say
Okay.
some relative of mine knows some other relative, and then they get in touch, they put us in touch with them, something of that sort.
Okay. So if your parents, maybe someone your dad worked with had a son, they would share your biodata profile and his, and then they would take a look at it.
Yeah.
It's not like you go and do a search somewhere and say, I'm looking for this, this, and this. It's relationships. But then the beginning part of that connection is sharing the person's biodata, right?
Yeah,
Got it.
that's the beginning part.
Got
Like,
it.
and the biodata is also like, it's not like something that is made, like since the day you were born. Like, the biodata is made when, your parents will ask you that, okay, now are you ready for a marriage? And then you say yes, and then they'll start with this whole searching process.
Okay. And I'm
Yeah.
guessing sometimes that can be short and sometimes it can be long process, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Is there a certain age that there's like an expectation where, you turn 20 or 25 or 30 or 35 and your parents are like, well, we really need to start like introducing you to someone. Is there a certain age where you feel the more pressure from your parents, like now is the time?
Yeah, so again, I would say that because of how culturally diverse India is, the age matters. So, like, if you go in the rural areas, generally what happens is the girl is married at around 18 or 20 years or 22 years. In case, she doesn't have any further studies, any plans to study further or some such thing. But generally, in the urban areas, if we talk about, I think the age is somewhere around 25 to 30.
25 to what?
30.
30. Okay.
Like, yeah, I think that's the general expectation. So, like,
So
right now, I am in that age where my parents have started getting behind me that, okay, maybe
yeah,
you
I was just
should.
going to say, so that process is starting for you then?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, so the marriage rate must be pretty high. Like for example, if you said to your parents, "I don't want to get married right now," um, that sounds like they would not be happy with that, right? Like it seems like it's custom to be like you turn a certain age and now it's time to get married. Like is that safe? Is that accurate?
Yeah, as in it's like so because it's arranged marriage, there's a lot of time that is put into it. So it's generally up, like it would take, let's say, at least 1.5 to 2 more years until like my actual wedding ceremony is happening. So because first you like make biodatas, and then there is this whole involvement of pandits who are like the people who worship the gods in temples. They are known as pandits. So they are involved, and so again, this biodata thing is, I think, mostly in Hindus, but I think if you look at, let's say, the Christians who are Indians, or even the Muslims, so they may not, sort of undergo this actual formalization and make proper biodatas, but arranged marriage is still prevalent over there. So even there, they'll have this hearsay that, okay, there's this guy that we know, so maybe, just start talking to him, and they just give like a rough background, something of
Hmm,
that sort.
interesting. Um, and then I've heard that weddings in India are very elaborate. Like there's a lot of buildup, and it's like a
Ah,
week-long celebration, right?
yes. Did
Yeah.
you not see Nick Jonas and Priyanka Chopra's wedding pictures or any such thing?
I don't follow celebrity news too much.
Oh,
I
okay.
know that they're married, but I didn't follow
Okay,
a
no, not
lot.
like that. That was like one of the grandest weddings, but I'm just saying, like, that would have given you an
A
idea.
good idea. I'll have to go
Yeah,
Google search it and take a look.
that's fine. You're not missing out on anything.
uh, you
So
talked
yeah.
about the caste system, and I'm aware of this. How many levels are there,
Oh, that is a
roughly?
tricky question. That is a very complicated question, I would say. So first comes religion, and then under religion you'll have castes, and under castes then you'll further have subcastes. So it doesn't just stop at castes. So yeah,
Okay.
it's kind of a
So,
difficult.
like, if you go to work for a company, and how much does caste play a role? Like, caste is based on religion. Is economic status a part of that?
So we have this special category called scheduled tribes and scheduled castes and other backward classes. So there are these people who belong to backward castes or backward classes. So let me just give you a little bit of a background. So caste system sort of came into play on the basis of the work that people used to do. Like it started very, very long ago in India, and it started on the basis of the work that people used to do. So let's say you are a pandit, so you are a Brahmin, that is what it's called. And then there were people who would, so the lowest caste were the people who used to, sweep the roads or come clean your house or some such thing. So it was on the basis of this, what work you do and what house you're born in decides what caste you are. That is how it works. So it kind of becomes very difficult to answer the question that you asked in the current scenario. So work and all up to a certain, like maybe up until education, because there is this concept of reservation in India, because there are a lot of people that come from rural areas who may not have had, as much opportunity as those in the urban areas. So there is in all government institutions and even in the non-government ones actually, you'll see that there's this concept of reservation where some of the seats are reserved for these backward castes and backward classes basically.
Got it.
So may up until education and up until getting into a good institute, maybe because of reservation, even the backward caste get a good chance at uh, entering into good institutes. But post that, I think everyone is pretty much at the same level.
I
So
see.
like
Okay.
once you are in, like let's say you are doing your undergraduation, so you might get into a very good college, but in order to land a job when getting out of that college, you'll have to work as hard as any other student in that college.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So someone who comes from a different background than you but went to the same school, like, you you might not have, like, you're on equal ground if you're pursuing a job at, say, some tech
Yeah,
company.
yeah.
They're not looking at, well, you have this and this background, so we're going to give you an advantage.
No,
It's
like
more,
if you're
yeah.
talking in terms of just caste, then no, that like I have not heard of any company doing that at least. So
Got it.
companies when they come to hire, they basically just want to make sure that you're a good employee and you
Yeah.
will be a good employee to them. So caste doesn't matter.
Got it. Got it. What about, you know, thank you for talking through the whole process of like marriage that's traditional, because I find it super interesting. Is there like an expectation when it comes to kids, like, it's important that you have one or two or three, or like, do you think that your parents, I don't know, are you an only child, or do you have brothers and sisters?
No, I have a brother actually. I have a younger brother.
Okay. So is there
Yeah.
anything along the lines of like, it's important that people have kids or have a certain amount of kids, or is that completely up to the couple?
Mm, So again, like there's a stark difference obviously in urban India and in rural India. So in rural India, there's a lot more expectation because generally the wife is not working, and they're just at home and handling on the household chores. So they are not like working in corporate basically.
Mhm.
So there the expectations are slightly different. But if you actually come to urban India, or take a look at a family where the girl is working as well, that I don't think it's that big a deal. Like the general expectation is that kids should be born. Like if you don't have kids, it's sort of like, oh my god, what is wrong with you?
Mhm.
General expectation is kids should be there, but I think they are patient up to the first 5 years of marriage.
Hmm.
So yeah.
One other question I had about the process of finding um, a husband or wife. Uh, when you said you have a lot to choose from, how much time do you spend? Like, let's say you've narrowed it down and there's 2 or 3 people that you're like, this person I'm interested in, and I'd like to spend some time getting to know them. How much time do you spend face to face before you need to make a decision?
So face to face is actually not that much of time.
Okay.
So face to face time is more when you are closer to finalizing things is when face to face happens, and there's this tiny ceremony which is done wherein there are some relatives from the boys side and some relatives from the girls side where they meet, and they have this tiny ceremony to sort of like put a ring on it, as they say.
Yeah.
But other than that, face to face time is not that much actually.
Like, are we talking like a few hours? Are we talking like 20 minutes? Like, what it will become? And like,
Oh no,
let's,
no, no, it's more than that, but it's not like maybe you can go meet them a few times
okay.
for a few hours, and then sort of make a
Yeah.
judgment, have good conversation with them to figure things out. So that much is allowed, but like going away on a holiday with
Yeah.
them, or deciding to live in with them, something
Yeah.
of that sort is
Yeah.
not.
Okay. Okay. So you do have some several hours on a few different
Yeah,
occasions where
yeah,
you're
yeah,
you're
yeah, yeah,
seeing
yeah,
like,
definitely.
is this a good fit or not?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Um, given the tradition of finding a partner, what is divorce like? In the US, I think the divorce rate, I don't know if it's the same in the world, but I think the divorce rate's around 50%. Like, is divorce very frowned on upon? Or what is the thoughts on divorce? Like, you go through this process, does divorce happen, or do people just say, well, I committed and I'm sticking with this person?
Um, Again, like the very stark difference in between US and India is that US is more of a like people there have more of an individualistic mindset, right? That I'll do what is good for me, or like I need to look after my needs or something of that sort. In India, it's more of a community thing. So if you are in an acceptable community, then divorces are fine. It's okay. But if you are in a community, or coming from a background which is very strict in terms of these things, then it's frowned upon. But again, one very big difference is generation also. So I'm sure like this must be the case in US also, no big deal. But there were fewer divorces in my parents' generation. There are a lot more in people of my generation, or like one generation below my parents, basically.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. It seems like people are getting, I guess, more modern or liberal. I don't know what the right word is, especially in urban areas.
Yeah, but so the thing is, in India, from what I understand, is we would want to put up a little bit more of a fight before we completely give up. So I don't know, like, have you heard of the word jugaad?
No. Could you put
So
that in the chat so I have it?
yeah, so jugaad is like a very Indian thing, and like I've heard this from all my friends who are working in US, that companies in US basically they are a fan of Indian people because obviously we are supposed to be brainy. But apart from that, because of this jugaad thing, because we have this, I wait, let me just explain it properly. We have this thing in us wherein, like if we have decided that we want to do this, then no matter what means, or no matter what we have with us or what we don't have available with us, one way or the other we'll reach where we want to go. So yeah,
Yeah, I would call that in English determination, like,
determination is
or
too
commitment,
posh, I would say. Jugaad is a very
like
like like uh, like
passion,
fix
like,
it, like you'll fix it. No
Yeah.
matter what it is, you'll fix it.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
I guess there's a phrase in the US called do or die, where you say literally like, you are going to do this or you're going to die trying. It's like an extreme example, but it's like it sounds like the translation that I'm getting is extreme commitment to whatever you're committed to. Like whether that's accomplishing a goal
So jugaad is not just commitment. Commitment is one part. Other part is how we get to
to
fulfilling it.
figure out a way no matter what.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So we'll figure out like some, like, it's just, I think we are wired differently or what it is, but it just our brain will work that ways, and we'll just directly have, like we'll find a very offbeat way to do things, and that is why, yeah.
I got it. So if you were starting a business or if you had a problem to solve at a company you worked for, there isn't a question of, I tried and I can't do this. It's a matter of, I will figure out a way to do this. Or
Yeah.
if you're starting a company and you don't have any customers, it's not a matter of, oh, I don't have any customers, I have to close up.
I found the English word for it. I think the word hustle would come close to this.
Okay, that helps.
Yeah. Yeah.
That helps. Yes.
Yeah.
So hustle to me means you'll get your fingers dirty, you'll do whatever you need,
Yes.
you'll roll up your
Yes.
sleeves, you'll
Yes.
be creative, you'll be innovative, you'll figure out a way to make it happen no matter what possible.
Yes.
Yes. So that sounds like it's a better translation. Okay.
Yes. Hustle is, that is why I was saying that determination is a little bit posh. Hustle is the right word.
Yeah. Determination and commitment are related to hustle, but hustle is more like,
it's like
you
a
will get
feeling, I
into
would say.
yeah, that means like you will get like you're not like, yeah, I don't know, I'm trying to think of the best, like that's the best way I could say. It's like you will get your hands dirty, like you're not afraid of getting
Yes.
into the dirt and doing whatever you need to do to make something happen.
Yes.
Is that a common, do you think most Indians possess that, or would you say, I would say hustle in the US exists in some people, and I don't know if
Yeah.
I feel like it's DNA driven. I think it's part the family you were raised in and the environment you were in. But I would say in the US, not everyone has hustle. I would say that there's certain people, probably more so entrepreneurs, who start things because they're creating things from
Yeah.
scratch. But like some people have it, I feel like, and some people don't. Is it the same in India, or would you say that you would say most Indians have a form of?
I think up to some degree most Indians have it. It's just because we have seen things happen in a different way, maybe, or like we've been through certain struggles in life, which like maybe forces us to think in a different way. I don't know what it is exactly,
Yeah.
but I would say that most Indians, yeah.
Yeah.
Like even when you travel to rural India, their level of hustling may not be the same, or even their let's call it style of hustling maybe may not be the same as urban India, but you would still qualify it as hustling.
Okay.
Yeah.
When I think of India externally, I think of a very hardworking people, and I feel like, yeah, like focused and hardworking or characteristics that come to mind. Some of the people that I work with, because I work in technology, there's a lot of engineers who are of Indian background and very smart, driven people. So that's, yeah, that's what comes to mind when I think of at least the exposure of the Indian people I've worked with. And maybe it's, I think what you said is right. Like, your background and what you're exposed to and going through challenges, I think puts that drive in people. Because, for example, both my parents are from Norway. My dad came to the US when he was 17 with very, very little money and was on his own ever since. And he had an uncle that lived in a city called Chicago. I don't know if you've heard of it, but he said, you can stay with me for a week and then you're on your own. And he had a fifth or sixth grade education, and he was on his own ever since. And like he did a variety of things and like provided a good upbringing for me. But like seeing him and things that my mom have worked really hard at, like it makes me, I don't know why or how, but maybe it's a desire to repay them because they've provided
Yeah.
things for me. And then it puts a deep drive, or I wouldn't say solely, but it contributes to a deep drive to do things, to accomplish things, because I want to be able to pay them back in a way that they've been able to sacrifice to give me a good upbringing. um, I have to imagine it's similar in India, where like your parents sacrifice to give you a better life, and then it puts a hustle in you because you want to be
Yeah,
able to repay them as you go into the world. Is that fair to
that
say?
is true. Yeah, yeah, I think that's that's very well put actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like in the U.S., um, I think I have that like immigrant background, so I feel like that is in
Mm.
me more. But you have people who have had generations in the U.S. and maybe haven't had to push that hard. So it's like,
Yeah,
then
yeah.
you, and if you don't have parents where you see that, then that puts in, I don't think you get that in your life because you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's what I think leads to like a portion of the US does. When I was saying some people have it and some people don't, when I say it's DNA, I think it's the environment you were brought up in and how
That
much,
is true.
yeah,
And in general, like India, US is so much land, very little population. India is very little land, lot of population. So there is always there is competition for
yeah,
each and everything that you want to do.
yeah,
Like be it education, be it the job that you want, be it a new company, let's say, or a new business that you want to set up.
yeah,
So, like, while diversity wise, it works to your advantage also sometimes, but because we are a small country with a lot of population, there is always like you're always competing. You
yeah,
can't thrive unless you aren't competing.
yeah. Everything, like probably every industry on every level, like there's
Yes,
strong competition.
yes, yes.
How hard is it to start a business? Like, let's say you wanted to start some kind of web company. Maybe it sells. I saw in your Instagram, you know, you like dogs, so like maybe it's
Yeah,
selling like some dog-related products or something. Is it
yeah.
easy to set up a company in India, or are there like a lot of hoops you have to jump through with government regulation and all that, or could you just start a company tomorrow if you wanted?
Probably not tomorrow. That is too optimistic. But it does take some amount of time to get things running. So, like for initially, how I imagine it would happen is, let's say things are happening in the background, and there is one person working in the front who is like handling all this administration stuff because you'll need regulation, you'll need space to work out of, you'll need employees, and you have to make sure you get funding, something of that sort. So there'll be some people who will be handling the admin side of things, and there'll be some people who will be handling the back end side of things. And apart from that, talking about government regulations when it comes to startup, there are a lot of leeways that have been given to Indian startups. Like I'm not exactly sure of what those are, but there are some income tax rules which are relaxed for them, and it sort of becomes a little easier for them to get fundings also. Like there are some government funds, I think. Like if you work in certain sectors, then there are certain funds that you can apply to,
Hmm.
something of that sort. So that has also happened. So all of this is there. Like there's a
Got
big
it.
push, but yeah, some admin things you have to do.
Do you feel like you're at any disadvantage being a female? Like when you talked about high competition, whether that's if you were to start a company at some day or go to work for a company, um, in the US, equality is a big thing, and it's still not perfect because you know there's studies that will show women make a little bit less money than men for doing the same
Hmm.
jobs, and a lot of companies in the US are trying to correct that. Do you feel like things are pretty level, or do you feel that you have some things, that bigger challenges that you have to overcome, more hustle potentially because of like a more male dominated work environment? I don't know. I don't know how the best way to put it is. Hopefully that
Yeah,
makes some
so
sense.
basically, if you look at India, it used to be, it still a little bit is, but it majorly used to be a patriarchal society, patriarchal country, where like men were more sticking to their traditional roles and women were more sticking to their traditional roles. So as of today, I would say that the condition is pretty much the same as in US. Like if you look at some of the big companies, you would not find generally cases of open discrimination against women or some such thing, because these companies are they want to put in a good front in front of people, and they want to look good in the eyes of people, and hence like I would say it's reaching there, it's not there yet for
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
So but personally, if you ask me, I have not uh, felt at a disadvantage ever
That's
for,
good.
yeah, being a girl or any such thing.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had one other question. Is there anything that you think, being in Mumbai, being in India, that the world misunderstands, or like when you're like the people of people in outside the world, I think that India is like this, when actually when you're in India, like maybe it's something that's better or worse, but like what's something as someone born and raised in India where you're like, um, I think that like the world should know that India really is X when they think it might be this. Does that make sense at all? I'm just
Yeah, I get what you're saying. So one thing is, this hasn't happened with me, but I've heard like it has happened with some of my friends. Like when they visited other countries, people ask them, "Do you speak Indian?" So like what happens is you have English, so you have American English, or so like. The French people stay in France, so something of that sort, and then they ask you that, do you speak Indian, which is like a very wrong thing to ask, because India has, I think, 20 plus national languages,
mhm.
like registered languages, and apart from that, there are, I think, hundreds of dialects that you'll find in small pockets of urban as well as rural India. So that is one very big misconception, that there is one language that one language known as Indian, which is used all over India.
That is a
That's not the
good,
case.
that is a perfect answer to the question. Um, when you say there's about 20 different national languages, are they similar? Like if you know one of those 20 and someone else is speaking 20, kind of like Spanish, like if someone speaks Spanish in Mexico versus in parts of South America versus Spain, there's different ways to pronounce it. And there maybe, I don't know that all the details, but I
So
think like,
that would be, those would be the dialects
okay.
that I'm talking about. So like for example, let's say we like where my parents are from, we have this language called Mewari or Marwadi. So if you get into the technicalities, even Mewari is different from Marwadi. And apart from that, as you keep going deeper into villages and all, you'll keep finding more and more different dialects of the same language,
Got it.
something of
So,
that sort.
so it sounds like those 20 national languages are
Are
distinct languages where if you heard someone speak another one and you don't know that language.
So I think it's like they all have their own alphabet and letters. So it's not even in the written in the same
Interesting.
transcript.
Interesting.
So like some languages will have similar transcripts. So like if you look at southern India, so the letters, although not the same, they are similar looking. And if you see like Maharashtra, which is the state that I live in, there is Marathi, which is prevalent, and Hindi. So Marathi and Hindi, they have the same transcript
Hmm.
basically, but they are two completely different languages.
Which is the most spoken in all of India?
So I think Hindi is the one which is most spoken in all of India. So that is like the national language of India. And apart from that, there are 22 other recognized, 20 plus. I'm not sure if it's 22 or 27. I'm not
Okay.
sure, but 20 plus recognized languages in India.
Okay. So that's so interesting. Such a good answer. Um, so if you go and you work at Google tomorrow, the
Yeah.
language that would be spoken would be likely Hindi, correct? Or would it be,
Generally, in workplaces like Google, it would be English, but yeah, Hindi would be pretty prevalent too.
okay. Okay, so
Yeah.
there's work like if I don't know any Hindi or any other type of Indian language and I move to Mumbai tomorrow and I got a job
Yeah.
at Amazon or Google, I could work
Yeah.
there fine just knowing
Yeah.
English.
Yeah. No, no, you won't have a problem at all.
Okay.
Like most of us, we know English.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's taught most
Like
people
it's
growing up.
Yeah, so like if you're talking about working in a company like Amazon or Google, then English is like a given. People there will know English for sure, even if it is in India, for
Okay.
example.
And if I lived in Mumbai and I just knew English, going to the market, going to restaurants, would I be able to get by with just English?
Yeah, you can use English. I don't think it will be that big of a problem in Mumbai. But there are like some areas where English may not be that recognizable by all. So
Okay.
there you may have to learn, like, like carry a handy book of common phrases in that language and use that. But in Mumbai, I don't think you face any issue.
Okay. And the,
Like
in
I think
the book of phrases should be in Hindi then, because that's what national language.
no. So the book of phrases will be from the place that you are in.
Okay.
So even Hindi may not be that well understood in. I don't think that's the case now, but earlier it used to happen that people may not understand as much Hindi, or so it's like people take a lot of pride in their mother tongue. So they may not be, as willing to learn a new language. So
Okay. Okay.
that could
That's good
happen.
to know. And then one last question.
Yeah.
What percentage of people are of other races like white, black, Asian, etc.? Like if you were just to go out on the streets of Mumbai, is it almost all people who are native to India, or would you say that like do you see white people and Asian people and black people and uh, from other countries as well?
Okay. So India, we may have some migration from Sri Lanka, some from areas like Dubai and the basically the neighboring countries. But again, technically, India, we are Asians.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Bad question. More like Chinese or
I got what
Japanese.
you're saying. So we don't have this whole white and black and that
Yeah.
entire thing. So we don't have that. Uh, but there is some migration mostly from the nearby countries,
Okay.
not like Americans and all. Like you might meet, but it's not that frequent actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, very, very last question. If I'm in Mumbai and you're like,
Yeah.
you have to eat this, like there's a certain dish or even a specific restaurant where you're like, this is a dish of food that I absolutely love that I would highly recommend. You need to order this at a restaurant you go to.
I have two dishes for you. One is, I'll just name the category. I'll just type it out for you. It's known as chaat. So basically, what this is, it's basically a lot of crunchy. It Like when you're having chaat, there are a few things that are guaranteed. There will be like a sour flavor. There will be a slightly sweet flavor. It will be a little spicy, and there will be a lot of crunchiness. So there are a couple of dishes that come under chaat. So we have pani puri, which is basically like a basket sort of a thing, and there is this spicy and sweet water that you put in it, and then you have to eat the entire thing whole.
Mm.
Like if you bite it in between, then the water will basically fall out. So that is one. Then in chaat we have something known as sev puri, which is like a flat thing on which you put some masala and all that, and then you eat. Again, that is one thing that is eaten whole. And so similar things, but chaat is like the main category. So if you
Got
come to
it.
Mumbai,
Okay.
you have to eat chaat. And apart from that, one other thing is, which is a Mumbai special, or I would say probably even Maharashtra special, but Mumbai for sure, is vada pav. So
Could you type that in?
uh, yeah, I'll just type it in, vada pav. So vada pav is basically a bun. Like I don't know how else to explain it to you, but bun. And in that you put this thing called vada, which is basically made of potato coated with gram flour and then fried. So you add spices and all to that
Mhm.
potatoes mash that you're making, and you coat you make a small ball of it. You coat it with gram, like you add water to gram flour and add spices there.
Mm.
Coat it in that, fry it, and then you put it in between the bun. You add, there's this spicy garlic chutney that we put, or some people like to have it with like fried chili and all. You just put it in that, and then you eat it like how
Mm.
you would eat a burger. So
Sounds
yeah,
delicious.
yeah.
I will have to
Can
try.
you handle spicy food? Like, how is your spice?
Well, it depends. Everyone's tolerance is different. Like, I don't think I have a high. What you
Okay.
think is high is probably baby to me. Like, it's probably like, if I was like, this is spicy, you would probably taste it and be like, this is nothing. So I would
Very,
say that,
very possible. Yeah.
yeah. So generally, I get things that are like a little bit spicy, but not too much. But I don't eat that much spicy food in general. So my tolerance is pretty low. I'm working on building it up, but um, it's better now than it was.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
well, that's great. Well, this went a little bit longer than I thought it would be. Hopefully, it's not.
Not a problem.
It was super fun talking to you and learning about you and culture in India. Um,
Yes.
so thank you so much, and hope you. I guess it's late evening there, so it's the day's over for you. But
It's
uh,
it's 11:38 p.m. right
okay,
now here.
11:08 a.m. here. So thank
Yeah.
you again, and we'll have to stay in touch.
Yes,
Okay,
definitely. I had so much fun talking to you.
thank you. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah. Bye
Bye bye.
bye.